Okay, we are Esplanade on air, living the dream in the district. I'm the podcast pro, Jamie Taylor, and I'm here with my guest today, Miss Karen Ross.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited to talk with you about this because you are the operator of PDC Construction. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And tell me a little bit about what you and PDC Construction are doing here at the Esplanade.
PDC Construction here at the Esplanade, we are the general contractor. We contracted with Blake Jackson back in 2019 is when we started on this, putting budgets together. I think I gave him the budgets in August of 2019, and we broke ground on Christmas Eve 2019. And then we started turning buildings over in May of this year. So we are the general contractor. So we're basically manage the project, manage the subcontractors, we're managing the suppliers and all of that to make this happen.
Well, and I'm sure it's like totally normal in 2019, 20, and 21 to buy material.
Well, and more importantly, it's pretty normal to have meetings too.
Right.
So one of our very first job site meetings was in March of 2020, and there's a photograph somewhere of us all outside across the street on a gravel parking lot around a table, everybody with masks on, and it was just the new normal for us. But
well, that just kind of brings up so much of the complexity because this is already a pretty complex project. You
Correct.
mentioned being contracted by Blake is like, hey, I have this massive vision. Would you like to help me build it?
Right.
Along
Correct.
those lines, is you're like, okay, well, I'm already dealing with this, but now the complications of everything's price is different. Everything's delivery is different.
Yes.
So let's start way back before we even get there at the beginning of operating a construction company is not typically just in general something that women are very well known to do.
Correct.
So let's start about how your journey happened and how did you end up where you are?
My journey started as I started out in school to be an architect. I made it to one day of design class and decided I didn't have the vision for that. I went to Auburn University, and inside their School of Architecture, they had a School of Building Construction. So I have an undergraduate degree in construction. And then I moved back home. Arkansas is home. I came back home and got my master's in business from the U of A. And I started working for a commercial contractor in 93. And I moved over to PDC in 2001 and became an owner in 2005. So that is kind of my journey of how I got here just by accident.
Right.
Architecture sounded glamorous. It wasn't for me because I didn't have that. I don't have the vision Blake does, but if somebody can tell me their vision, I can build it for them.
Yeah, which is incredible because that's, the execution of this is very detailed.
Yes.
I mean, I was watching, and that's something Blake kind of comes up on the show all the time because everyone mentions like, well, he's here all the time. He's very involved in every phase. He's walking the property and he's constantly involved with the contractors. But it's crazy. It is a little crazy sometimes, I think. At least I'm not you though. When someone comes to you and is like, hey, I want all my windows to be curved. I want a pool that's the length of the units. I mean, tell me about how some of this vision, were you just like totally excited when you got a hold of this?
Lord, when I saw this with this curved clubhouse, PDC does a lot of multifamily housing. Not a lot, and we do some small commercial, but not. This is the first big one we've done where it's merged together like this, and these curved walls and this high and this, and then that pool that kind of flowed with that curve. We were all going, this is going to be cool.
It's amazing looking out there now,
This is going to be
it?
cool. Yes. So it was so exciting when he plopped that down, his vision with his renderings and everything of how this is going to be fun to be a part of this.
It really has been. Well, and I'm curious too, because you said you broke ground on Christmas Eve. I think I came out to the groundbreaking. I remember like ASEN, everyone was here and they had the shovels out there. Yep. I was pregnant. I was like, by the time I came back, I had a baby.
Yes.
But the buildings were already up.
Yes.
I mean, it felt like it just happened very quickly and I think that might have been just because so many people were at home in the midst of 2020 that we didn't get to see a lot of the development go
Exactly.
down.
Yeah. I think we had that groundbreaking in January. It was a warm day in January.
I remember that's the reason why I remember being like, why is it so hot? But
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you get into this position as far as building a development like this, you've already built previous or done projects with the Monde Group prior to this, right?
Correct.
So you kind of already knew the team and they've just got such great things to say about you. So you already had the relationship.
Correct.
When you go into this and all of a sudden everything starts changing, and that's just a question I have from my background in real estate too.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden your lumber price is different and your concrete's unavailable and you have no way to do this, what does that pivot look like for you? Because now you're in charge of running this huge company and you have a huge development. What does that pivot like?
That pivot, we roll with the punches. We've got great suppliers who hustle for us and find the best deals and go to different avenues. And then, our relationship with the Monde Group and with Blake, we take on some of the responsibility and some of the liabilities of the price increases. And we lock a lot of stuff in. The ownership, Blake and his partners are great to let us buy material, get it on site, or get it out in off-site storage so that we capture that and what we can. And we've got subs that are awesome. We have a lot of subs that have followed us on a lot of these jobs that know, okay, right now lead time on this is usually 3 months. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We need to order it today to give us 9 months to get it. So the pivot is different planning, making sure we get stuff ordered way in advance. And like, for instance, we've got a product here on site that the average person probably wouldn't notice. It's not the correct item, but we were able to get our hands on it to get it installed, to get Blake his permits to operate.
Right.
And knowing that the product that we have ordered is going to show up eventually, and we'll swap it out so it's what Blake wanted. So we just roll with the punches. We're creative and we make it work. So
I really like that, and I know that I'm partial because I'm a girl, so I'm going to be partial to this whole thing. But I think that is one of the strengths is having women involved with the contracting process, because I feel like our minds work so differently, and not even like to say like better or worse, but I mean, the best way I've ever heard it put, instead of like men are for Mars, women are for Venus, I heard men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti, because they'll just like compartmentalize it into a
great analysis,
isn't it? And then it's like bloop for us. Everything is together. Because you were mentioning that, and I was thinking, well, you're dealing with the management of not only ordering in advance and noticing, but then also coming up with what a creative solution to put this here instead of that. No one's going to notice right now. And Blake's the type that has a very particular vision.
Yes.
So if you can make it work and then flip it around to what he needs, then that's going to work perfectly for him.
Correct.
He's pretty good at pivoting too, despite his,
Yes, exactly.
So what would you say the most, I mean, for you, you've done a lot of different multifamily development. So what would you say for you stands out the most about the Esplanade district versus other multifamily developments that you've done?
Well, because it's the district, you've got this big pool, this big commercial pool, and then the next few phases are going to have different elements that we don't see. The next phase will have the 4 stories with the elevator and the rooftop bar, and then he's got several other things. It's just in the little container cafe that he's envisioned there. Just a lot of these little different things that, we do a lot of multifamily, but it may just be multifamily. And yes, we're providing housing, but he's providing a huge lifestyle with, this is going to eventually be out here. It's like, why go anywhere after work? Come home and you're here, kind of deal. So that is the exciting and the little different aspect of this project than others that we've done.
Gives you a new challenge too, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, I also have to build it. This is like the second largest pool, I think, is it in North Little Rock or in both rocks?
I think it's both.
Okay, but Between the Rocks. I like that event they had the other day called Between the Rocks. I thought that's kind of perfect because we are between the rocks.
Yes, we are. That would be the Arkansas River.
Yes, it is. I love it. And the thing is about this too, when you said lifestyle, that's another thing about Esplanade on Air. I mean, we're literally producing a show around the community because so many people here are they're connected to these big companies that are taking part in building this. But we all know in a few years that, like you said, people are going to come here and not have to leave.
Right.
They can create content. They can go swimming. They can have their friends in the clubhouse. They can ride the bike trail. They can go to Burns Park. So what about the perks of being the contractor? You get to go in the pool anytime you want, right?
Probably, but since I don't swim, it's probably not something I'm going to do.
That's okay. You can just sit over here in the lily pads.
Well, I'm going to have to sit somewhere where I can be undercover because I have 2 skin tones, bright red or white.
Oh my gosh, me too. We can sit. We'll sit by each other.
So we're going to have to be under the cabanas or under the shade somewhere.
Yeah, everyone's going to have there's going to be a reserved sign on one of those, and you and I'll just switch back and forth.
Yes, that sounds like a great plan. And maybe sit drinks.
Oh
under
yeah,
the cabanas and watch.
It's not our fault that they have a swim-up bar in the pool.
Exactly.
They can just bring them to us.
They can bring them to us.
Well, and so speaking of favorite amenity, right? Because you've built the floor plans. So you've seen everything from waterfalls and apartment units to this giant pool. If you had to pick only a one amenity, and I'm going to pull the pool out of it so you can't choose that one because everyone chooses that one.
Yeah.
If you had to choose one amenity that you think stands above other developments that are multifamily that you're just like, they don't put this in apartments, what would you say that Esplanade has over other?
I love the cove lighting Blake puts in these because you can get, it's different ambiance, but it's kind of I'm a lighting type person. I like that. And I like that atmosphere it gives you, that cove lighting, I think that's the coolest feature
love that.
Inside the units.
Well, and that goes back to your construction background because a lot of them are like, oh, the podcast studio or the fitness center. And that was exactly probably, and one of Blake's big comments was the architectural elements. Yeah. Of course it's those elements because it's those details that you don't see and you don't even know what the plants, like he said on one episode that the plants brought the room down to a more human size. And I wasn't thinking about that until I saw them.
Yes, exactly.
So what about when you're coming to work every day, and you're driving by other developments and you see that, people need to move to this area because there is so much to develop still. And we're in that first little phase of exclusivity. Right. There's not a lot of units left at this place, but there is in this phase. But as you go to build those, what would you say the most exciting part for you from a building perspective is going to be in the second and third phases, like the rooftop bar? Or is it going to be a challenge to put an elevator in a building? I mean, I guess you guys have done that before.
We've done elevators before, but I think over there it will be the rooftop bar because that building's going to be a little different than even the other three in that phase because when you go 5 stories, you can no longer do 100% wood stud. That bottom floor of a 5-story building, the bottom floor has to be concrete or steel. Wow. So we're going to have concrete and steel and then wood above it. So that little element's going to be a little different and add a little more challenges to what we have to do. So
it's exciting watching you talk about this because you do light up about when you start talking about this. And so how did you, when you fell in love with it, did you just know like, oh, wow, I don't want to design the building. I'm just going to execute?
Yeah, and I fell in love with it. At Auburn, like I said, the construction is inside the School of Architecture, and I had friends down there who were getting dual degrees in both of them, and I just fell in love just hanging out with them. I fell in love with the aspect of building it. You give me a set of plans I can envision. Let me build that for you, and going from digging the dirt to handing a key over. It's so exciting for me to see it being built. Yeah, but I was always the kid that wanted Legos for Christmas because I like just building things. Yeah. And
turning in somebody else's dream into a reality.
Exactly.
That's the part I really admire because in all honesty, like when I first saw the plans for this place and I have stepped in here, I've told other people before, it wasn't even remotely close to done the first time I came in here. So when Blake was telling me these things, they all sounded great, but I hadn't seen any plans and I didn't know what that was going to look like.
Right.
But you guys have turned this place into a full-on luxury development in the course of just less than 2 years. It just feels like it happened really fast. With respect to this timeline, even though there's been all those challenges, is this how fast it always happens?
Yes.
How long?
Yes.
Wow.
Phase 2, we're scheduled to finish phase 2 in 18 months. So
that's a lot of work.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So what about your team? Do you direct a whole team all day, every day? Or
Yes, I have a great team. On this job this size. We will have one full-time superintendent and a minimum of 2 assistant superintendents, and then outside of that, we'll have all the subcontractors that will have the same setup too. And a lot of our subcontractors, this is what they do. All they do is apartments, and so they kind of follow us on a lot of these jobs.
You kind of keep a team together.
Yes, and then I have a project coordinator, Angela, who is amazing. She's the one who takes care of the utilities, all of the services that the guys in the field need to do their job. Who gets the porta potties out here? Who gets the job trailers out here? Who calls Entergy to get power out here? And then on the back end, she's somewhere here today doing punch list, making sure the units are ready for tenants to move in. So we've built a great team with long-term employees. I've been with PDC for almost 21 years now. Angela's been with me 10. My superintendents have been with me 12 years. So
you must be doing something right over there.
Exactly. Well, we pride ourselves. We take care of our employees. We take care of our clients. Yes, this is Blake's vision, but this is PDC's.
Oh, your name's all over it.
Yes.
And going outside, everyone's wearing a PDC t-shirt.
Yes. And yeah, we take ownership in this, and we tell all of our clients, your job is our job, because we're going to treat it as if we were the owners of that job. And we're going to make sure that your vision comes to life.
Well,
so
you have done an incredible job bringing this one to life. And I think
you.
The most exciting part of this one to me too is it's different. Like you said, there is nothing else I've seen in Central Arkansas that compares to this. Now, the villa is beautiful and the pool is great and everything, but like you talked about, it's the second and third phases and all those unique attributes that add to the lifestyle of the Esplanade. The whole live the dream thing really comes to life.
And also here, I laugh, you can sit at the front of the clubhouse and not know there's 5 buildings because the curve of it, whereas the villa was kind of more compact. This is just the curves on this, and it just feels so different. So
luxury. And when you come around the corner, it comes out of nowhere too.
Exactly.
You're just like,
and then you keep driving, and it keeps going and going, and it's pretty cool.
This probably is one of your most exciting projects over.
Yes, it is. It really is.
So what do you think as far as with them being pet friendly too? Do you think that we should all just get our own unit and have a house family party? Like we just need to have our own, like we talked about, we have a cabana, we all need our own apartment.
Yes.
We'll just trade. We like the real world Las Vegas, except for it'll be the real world the Esplanade.
Yes.
So when it comes down to you and this project, gosh, we've got years ahead, right?
Yes.
And so as your team changes and the climate around us changes when it comes to being able to buy material and hire and fire and all of that kind of stuff, can I ask you from an employee challenge, are you guys challenged to hire more people right now?
Right now we've got a good team. We've lost a couple people this year, so we've got really good solid core, but we have access to others if we do start to get to where we need more people. We will never understaff a job. We'll never overstaff a job. We'll make sure the client has, so we have our core folks, and then we use a lot of temp labor services to help fill in, and occasionally, like 2 of my jobs, we've hired them. One of the guys to work for us full time. So yes, there is a challenge in the workforce right now. This is hard work. It's sometimes not glamorous work. Sometimes at 6 o'clock at night, you're on the back working end of a shovel.
And it's hot.
In a ditch, and it is hot. But we've got, like I said, we've got a group of guys and folks that are really dedicated. And they're here, and towards the end of this job, they've been here 7 days a week to make sure we can get tenants moved in. So,
I can attest to the other night, I don't even know if they tell you how late they stay sometimes, but the other night I rode 6 miles over here from the front side of Burns Park, or 3 and then back, and I was out here pulled up with my kids to check on everything, and there's 6 of your guys still working way past business hours. Hey, how's it going? Can we help you with anything? And it's that's got to give you a lot of pride, because you didn't keep them there. They decided to stay.
It did. And the fact that they conversed with you and wanted to know if they could help you.
Always.
So we've got guys that will go out of their way to help.
Yep.
Make sure the need is,
And that kind of goes down to the conversation we were having in the lobby with Blake just a minute ago about women-owned companies and women-operated companies. And again, I'm all fine with everybody who operates companies. But when it comes down to a women-owned company, you've not only built so much of a team behind you and had massive projects that you've taken underway, but you're managing them on a level kind of like where I see him pacing back and forth in here. You're going from the very top.
Yes.
Hey, we're going to execute these plans, all the way down to my employees have the kind of culture and respect for their clients that they converse with everyone on the job site. Yep. They're polite and friendly. Yep. What's your secret sauce?
I can't talk about that. We pride ourselves. We take good care of our employees. We are an employee first company, and they buy into that culture, and they help us grow our company. They help us with our clients. And, every one of my clients, Blake knows he can go to any one of my guys, ask him a question, and they'll know what's going on, and then they'll take care of him. So I think it comes down to a respect for the employee, whether they are labor on the back of a end of a shovel, or if they're, the CEO of the company. We show everybody that same, you have value. and your value means something to us and to our company. So
how did you, when you're building through culture in the company and you're going through, again, we've talked about previously, I mean, I've been a male dominated career field similar as you, and it's a rarity. And so I wonder, when you're building that culture, did you have influences in your life that helped you to decide the kind of work you wanted to do and the kind of culture you wanted to build? Were there people on the way that...
Well, I'm not sure how I ended up really in construction. My mom and dad came from the banking industry.
Probably because they were like, here, this is how you responsibly build this.
Yes. My granddad was in construction, but he was a plasterer, so for many years. But my like I said, mom and dad were in banking, and my mom was a single mother, and she instilled in me the work ethic, because she always worked 2 and 3 jobs to make sure me and my brother had everything we needed, and that's where the work ethic came from. She made sure that we had the opportunity to go to college, to get our degrees, and to progress that to progress that way. That's kind of work ethic. And it's like, for even starting out in this business, I was those guys that was first one in, last one out,
And there's times I'm sure you threw a shovel around. I mean...
Yeah, I spent a summer in college installing high-mast light poles and traffic signals in downtown Little Rock.
You are straight up bad to the bone.
Yes.
Wow. So, that is scary. No, the worst thing the toughest thing I feel like I've ever done is I stood up there and held a ridge in the middle of the house with a couple other guys while they were putting this
I did a lot of asphalt work. So I have a lot of respect for anybody who's out on that 212-degree asphalt laying it.
The temperature is ridiculous out there when you're laying asphalt. And I've noticed, too, that concrete forming doesn't seem like that's very easy either. No,
that's not either. No, but I had decided that if I was going to be in management and construction, I needed to have at least done it for a little time so I could understand what I'm asking the guys to do.
That probably is the difference that sets you apart from so many other people. And I've dealt with a lot of contractors, and over time, I mean, that's what you do in real estate, especially on my pieces, going in, looking at things, whether they be commercial or residential. You deal with people who are in the trades all the time. And what stands out, like we talked about, is not just the culture, but it seems like you have an understanding of what you expect them to do. So if you understand what it's like to stand outside and pour asphalt, and you're looking at them asking them to do it, it sure makes that an easier ask.
Right. And exactly. And even now as an owner, I'm out here, especially when it gets
You're here all the time.
Especially when it gets to the end of a job. I'm out here every single day. And the guys know to keep Gatorade in their ice chest for Karen, because Karen's coming out. She's not used to this. So I'm out here just because at the end of a job, there's so many little details that have to be tied to get tied up, finished up, and you need eyes on it. And, the guys are great, but they may walk past something every day and not see it. I walk up and go, hey, let's take care of this. So in
my house, that's socks and shoes is what I'm walking by all the time. Just like, can you pick that up? So maybe it's different on the job side.
But if you pick shoes up, you'll never find them again. That's my philosophy on shoes. But yeah, so I'm out here even now to show the guys I'm with you. I'm not just that person in the office calling you, go and do this, do that. I'm out here working through that with you if there's issues.
That's such a different culture than you find a lot of these places.
Yes.
That's really cool to have. Would you say that you were at all surprised when Blake showed you the next few phases? And did you know about them before you started the first one? I'm only curious because he hasn't shown me a lot of the things because he knows I have a big mouth. So I'll go tell everybody.
I saw the master plan for the before.
Yeah, so okay, well then I do know at least that there is going to be some food involved in this development. There's going to be containers and things like that down the road.
Yes.
And so when we talk about down the road, since I'm allowed to know that much, I've been asking everyone on the show what their vote is, so that when we have to pick a restaurant or a food type to put in there, I'll at least be able to say to Blake, well, I talked to everyone and this is what everyone said. So would you rather have Mexican food, margarita, like what's your, or pizza or burgers, or like what's your number one choice for a food type venue in the district?
For me, it's soups and salads.
Oh, man.
I am always...
No one's getting on my nacho party, but okay.
I would eat nachos, but I'm always looking for a good soup salad place because that's comfort for me.
Well, we're going to write that one down then. James voted against you. He's going a different route. We'll find out what Renee said later.
Okay.
But we'll see who wins. Yeah, I'm going to bring Blake a whole list. This is what everybody said.
This is what everybody wants.
Yes, that way he has a lot of things to choose from.
Yes, exactly.
Like as if he needs more decisions to make.
Well, and I think the soup and salad route, you're going to have bikers who are going to want healthier fare. So I'm just thinking.
You listen here. She's making her point. And that's the thing. I agree because how many bikers? I feel like I see more bikers than cars.
It is insane. I mean, when we first started, it was like we would have to have, when we were doing the dirt work out here, we had a lot of big trucks in and out every day. We almost had to have a flagger out on the street to stop the bikers. We got a bunch of trucks. I mean, it is a lot of bikers, a lot of walkers. I mean, it's amazing.
It is really cool.
And it doesn't matter January through December. They're out here.
Some of them that are out here in the cold, I'm like, are you guys okay? You shouldn't be out here. But then I say that and it's 110 degrees.
Well, it's the 110 that I'm more concerned about. It's like, it's 2:00 in the afternoon and the heat index is 110. They're not even registering it anymore. It's so high. Stop and go home.
Yes, please go. Or just come in here and get in the pool.
Yes. Yeah, come on in and sit in the office with you. We'll get you some water.
Well, and it's funny too, because there's all these other developments. Again, I mean, this started and then we kind of were right behind it. But this has been the most interesting and exciting thing I've seen just in the curve to be able to have the curve of the river hit with it.
That's what I love about it. So.
Well, and it's nice because across the street there's so much space. I mean, who's to know what they're going to do with that? I guess we'll wait and see, and you'll probably call me, right, and tell me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it for you.
I'm definitely going to be calling and reaching out and being like, Blake won't tell me what's next.
And I'm going to go out. Let me call Blake first and see if I have permission.
Darn it. Your team's good. They have your back. Well, this is one of my favorite things to do every week, because in building the podcast studio, when we first came in and started to have guests on the show, I didn't know a whole lot about everybody's different role. And what I think is really exciting about yours is that it gives me just a crazy vision of what is possible for someone who decides to build a company like you've built. And I think it really gives way to other women who are interested in this craft and in this field that might not think, I can do that. So when it comes down to other women who might have that kind of aspiration, what would you encourage them to do as finding their education or their mentorship? Would you want them to come find someone like you to ask about how did you build your whole company? Yes. Or do you think that it was easy, like just get a degree and kind of walk through that process?
When I started in this business, I didn't have a whole lot, but there were a few ladies out there in some of the bigger companies that I sought out. So I encourage that. Find the women business owners out there. And there's more out there now than there when I was doing this. I've been doing this for 28 years now.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. That wasn't very popular.
That wasn't very popular, but there are now. And seek out those ladies. Seek out the organizations out there. There's a Central Arkansas organization called Women in Construction. So
wow.
So I mean, seek out the women ownerships and even the women who are maybe not owners, but are working in leadership positions inside some of the construction companies. Wow. So out there. So I encourage.
Well, I'm definitely going to put your website out when we do this so that they can come and look at your guys' website and make sure that if they did want to reach out, they can reach out to you directly.
Yes, most definitely.
So don't be surprised when I call you and ask for some tips on how to build things.
I can do it. I can do it.
Well, we're getting ready, it looks like, in here to shut down the lobby for the day, because normally we stay here, all night long after you guys leave and have parties, but Blake's here supervising, so we have to leave. I'm just kidding. We haven't had parties yet, but
no nacho party.
That is nacho party, he said.
Nacho party.
But we're getting ready to close down for the day. But I'm so grateful that you took the time to sit down with me and talk to me about this and what you're doing here at the Esplanade. Don't be surprised though, because again, I'm here every week on Friday interviewing people. So when you walk through the lobby, if I have questions, I might have to pull you in.
That's fine. Like I said, I'm here most days out here, and most Fridays I am out here just kind of closing out the week. So
it's a fun place to be to close out the week, especially now that the pool's there. I'm going to go get some large beach balls and make sure that bar table is stocked, and then we will go out there and solve some more problems together.
Awesome plan.
Well, thanks for hanging out in the launch pad with me.
Thank you.
I will see you on site.
Yes.
So to our listeners and to our guests, go ahead, get some sleep, and we'll see you next time when the Esplanade on Air is back.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.